at home and working from home. I would like to extend my gratitude to Vijay, Vignesh, and all the organizer for giving me this opportunity of presenting my knowledge. I would like to keep this session interactive, so if anyone has any queries or doubts, please feel free to interrupt me and clarify your doubts. So before starting the session, let me introduce myself. My name is Kunj. I have 6+ years of experience with Microsoft technologies, especially with SharePoint and Microsoft 365. Currently, I'm associated with Cognizant. I would I like to contribute and share my knowledge. I contribute to PNP community and I even write blogs and articles in C Sharp Corner. So you can check out today's session blogs in C Sharp Corner. I have written step-by-step procedure of how we can configure incoming and outgoing webhooks in Microsoft Teams. The thing which I like most about webhook is it being a platform agnostic. So we can use it in any of the platforms like Windows, Linux, macOS. My experience lies with the front end and back end technologies both. I am currently trying my hands in UI UX development. I am active on almost all social media channels, so you can connect with me on any of the channels, but I am most active on Twitter, so you can follow me for any suggestion and doubts. So without wasting much time, let us dive into the session. Let us go through the agenda for today's session. Today, we would be covering what is webhook, why it is required, is it actually being used in application, webhooks with respect to Microsoft Teams, different types of webhooks which are available in Microsoft Teams. We'll even see demos of how we can use it, how we can configure it with different application and different usages. So to begin the session, let us check the popularity of the word webhook before understanding it. As displayed in the graph is taken from Google Trends. So the usage of webhook is increasing, and so it is very important for us to understand what is webhook. To understand webhook, we'll be using 4 major questions. What is webhook? Why it is helpful? How we can secure it? And how should we respond to webhook? So let us start with the first question. What is webhook? In simple terms, webhook are one of a few ways web application can communicate with each other. It allows us to send real-time data from one application to another whenever a given event occurs. The next question arises, what are the mechanisms to send data from one application to another? So there are two mechanisms which are available. One is a pull mechanism for sending the data and the other is push mechanism. To understand it, let us take a real life scenario. Consider I want to buy a phone. I go to a store, but the vendor informs me that the phone is not available. Now, in this scenario, I have two options. One, to take the phone number of the vendor and call him every day to check whether the phone is available or not. And the second option is to provide my phone number to the vendor and ask him to call me whenever the phone is available. So, what do you think is easy and less resource consuming approach? So of course the second one, because there are less requests as we can see. Now if we compare the two options in computer application analogy, the first option is a pull mechanism and the second one is a push mechanism, and hence the webhook uses push mechanism to send the data. Webhook also addresses a major problem. If we have an API that initiates a long running action, we do not want to hold open the connection for ages, waiting for the activity to complete. Instead, it would be great if we simply return saying that the job has been accepted and allow the caller to specify a webhook to be notified on completion. So Is it clear what is webhook and how it sends the data? Okay, I'll take it as a yes. And now let us bring up the second question. Why it is helpful? To understand this, let us take an example of GitHub. GitHub lets us set up webhooks to subscribe for various events that we might be interested in. So if I want to be notified when a push request is created, I can tell GitHub where my webhook is hosted, and then whenever a push request is created on my repository, GitHub will make an HTTP request to my callback URI, posting a JSON object that contains all the information. So to understand it better, let us look at the demo. So I have a repository which is already present in the GitHub. So let me open the repository. In this repository, if I go to the settings section, there is an option called as webhooks. So here we can configure a webhook. Now let me fire up a dummy webhook. So there is a site which provides us a dummy webhook. We'll use this URL, and here either we can add a webhook or I have already created it, so we'll edit the webhook. Once we inform where our webhook is hosted, we can specify for which event we want to fire it. Either we can use just the push event, or we can use send me everything, or we can use let me select individual events. So if I select individual events, there would be multiple events which we can select from, or there is a push which has already been selected. So let me just select this and update the webhook. Now let me fire up my Visual Studio Code where the repository is already been synced. I'll update a simple code in that, and then okay, I'll update some code in this file. Now I can commit the changes. And now I can push. So let me just open my terminal and push the code, push the changes. Still the changes are not committed. Okay, once it is committed, I'll push it. Once the code is pushed, we can see whether the webhook has been fired or not. So as we can see, the webhook is fired, and we'll get all different types of parameters which are required. So there would be multiple information which we can use. So from this demo, we can understand that we can write our own custom code that does whatever we want with the information, whether it is sending me text or automatically triggering the CI/CD pipeline. The point here is we can do whatever we like because GitHub has provided us with an extensibility point, and hence webhook are very helpful. So till now, anyone has any doubts why it is helpful, how we can use webhook, what are webhooks?
Hey Kunj, I have a question. Like, once I write my code in webhook, it needs to be hosted in some like GitHub. Is it like that?
No, we can host it in any of the platform. So it is platform agnostic. We just need to provide the callback URI.
Okay, is it like I'm calling the API just like we call in SharePoint APIs?
Exactly. So in terms of SharePoint, if you want to relate it with SharePoint, so we have event receivers. So whenever an item is updated, so there are webhooks for all these events. So whenever an item is updated, what SharePoint will do is, if we provide a callback URI to SharePoint, let's assume that it is hosted in Linux using Node.js. We have a API which is available, and we use it in SharePoint to provide that whenever an item is updated, that callback URI would be triggered. Okay, so this is actually the
Okay.
API which we get. Here we get an API. So if I clear this is the API.
Okay.
I'll
And
I'll
this
show. Mhm.
this HTTPS webbook.site, this is my domain.
Yeah, this is your domain, correct. So this is currently a dummy domain because we are using this site to create it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other doubts? We'll even see a demo of how we can create our own webhook URI as well. So in that it would be like more clear.
All right. Thanks.
So we can develop a webhook using any technology, and it can
Yes.
be built on premise or Azure or any cloud platform.
Yes,
Right?
yes, that is correct. So you can just deploy it in anywhere like on-premise Azure. You can use any technologies like ASP.NET, Node.js, any other
Mhm.
technologies which are available.
Okay.
So now let us take our third question, which is how are webhooks secured? To understand the need of security, let us take a scenario. In this scenario, we'll consider payment gateway like PayPal, Paytm, or any other. Let us assume we are selling some products online and using the payment providers like PayPal. So this providers provide us a webhook callback that inform us when someone has completed a purchase. We can use this information to send or dispatch our product to the buyer. This example highlights the importance of the security because we do not want anyone to be able to call our webhook and get free stuff. So to secure the webhook, we should always use HTTPS based endpoints. And consider even after using that, someone is able to intercept a webhook and examine it. Not only may it contain sensitive information, but that gives them the information that how they can spoof callback. So along with HTTPS, we should include hash functions which are calculated using pre-shared secret. So this pre-shared secret acts as a password for decoding the data. This way, the secret is never transmitted, meaning that even if someone intercept the content of the webhook, the worst they can do is they can replay that one webhook, as they would not be able to generate a correct hash if they change the payload. So for example, if I am sending a message called as hello world and a webhook receives it, and if I check that someone is able to intercept it and they are sending that hello world with some other hello hi, they would not be able to send it because they cannot use the same hash to generate it because they do not know the hash function of it. So now let us move forward to our last question, which is how should a webhook respond? So if we are the recipient of a webhook, we should validate the content and then return as quickly as possible. The caller of the webhook should not wait for us to perform any action. We need to complete all the operations from our end. We just need to send the acknowledgement that we have received the request. In terms of Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Teams waits for 5 seconds for the response. If it does not receive it, it considered it as a connection timeout, and hence we need to send the confirmation as soon as possible. So is everyone like okay with what is webhook, how we can do it, and all the questions that we are working on? Any doubts till now? Okay, I'll consider it as a no. Now let us, okay, someone is.
Yeah, Kunja. Is it like when I call the webhook, is it like just like you said that I'm sending the hello world? So is it like sender needs to first send out its query, and in result I'll get something over it?
No, so what happens is actually there would be some trigger event, right? So for example, in terms of GitHub, which we saw, so we had a push event was a trigger event. So whenever a trigger event happens, GitHub calls the callback URI and sends the data. Okay.
Okay.
So there's no calling of the API which is done from our end. Everything is done from the sender end itself. So sender sends the data to the API which we provide. So we should be accepting the data. So the API which we create should always be a post method. Any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have a question. See, initially in SharePoint on-prem environment, we were able to means in the underscore VTI we can call the services, right? .svc and do right.
Correct.
So so now this concept of webhook came. So what is the difference between that two? Means we can call that directly SBC from here also, right?
Okay, so I'll tell you the difference. So SVC was the endpoint which we used to hit, right? And we used to get the data. Hello?
Just a quick thing to no, so questions. I mean, after this question, please we can take questions towards the end, right? So that we finish the session. Let's take questions towards the end. You can answer this, but the remaining questions, let's take it towards the end. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
sure. Yeah. So to answer your question, so like the underscore VT underscore the service which we used to call was the service which we used to call. It was not called by the SharePoint itself, right? But in terms of webhook, what webhook does is like the whenever an event is fired, SharePoint calls the endpoint. It is not the consumer is calling the endpoint. We do not get an endpoint. We provide an endpoint to the webhook, to the SharePoint, that this is the URL where you need to call whenever an event is fired. So to understand this in more detail, whenever we come to an outgoing webhook, we'll see a demo of how an outgoing webhook works. And in that case, we'll it would be completely understandable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So now let us understand webhooks with respect to Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams provides us with two different types of webhook. First is incoming webhook and the other is outgoing webhook. Now, let us first focus on incoming webhook and understand what it is. As the name suggests, incoming, this webhook does not provide a mechanism to send data out from Microsoft Teams. Rather, it gives us a mechanism to push the data to Microsoft Teams. We can send message to channel using incoming webhook. So all the webhooks which are present in Microsoft Teams have a scope. So this we can consider it in the similar manner as we have the scopes for variables in programming language. So very important thing here to note is incoming webhook are channel scoped, which means if we want to configure it for multiple channels, we need to configure it for each channel. It is very easy to configure it. And so let us understand how we can configure it using the demo. So what I'll do is I'll fire up my Microsoft Teams. I'll go to a team And in this team, I have a option called as more team, sorry, manage teams. And this will go to apps, and inside this more apps. Here we can search for incoming webhooks. Once I select the incoming webhook, I can add it to a team. Here, as you can see, type a team or a channel name. Here, if I cancel this and if I search for anything, I'll only get the channels. Okay. For example, I can use the general channel which is available, or I can use the demo, or I can use the before demo. So for this, I'll use demo. We'll set up a connector and we'll be asked multiple questions like what is our incoming webhook name? And if we want to change the image, we can upload an image. So for example, we'll use demo. So this is the name which would be available when we send the message. So this is the user. And once we click on create, we'll be provided with a URL. So this is actually the callback URL which we are calling. So if I copy this URL and I can send data using this. So for today's demo, we'll be sending data using 3 different kinds of forms. So first we'll use the terminal, then we'll use Postman, and then we'll use SPFX to send the data. Okay, so let me. So curl is a method to send the data. Use like it is kind of an terminal command which we get to send the data. Here what we are sending is, as you can see, we are sending the data as text format and it would be hello world. The content type would be application JSON. So it is in a JSON format, and let me send the data. As you can see, the revert would be 1. So once we get 1, that indicates that we have sent the data. As you can see, demo is the user and hello world is the message that we sent. Now we can even send the data using message card and adaptive cards as well. So in this demo, we'll see how we can send the message not only in the text format, but in some other formats like adaptive card or message cards. So what we'll do is we'll use our webhook callback URL. We'll do a post request because we are sending the data. The body would be in the format of JSON. It would be a row JSON format. As you can see, the type of data here is message card. And this message card can have multiple actions as well. So as you can see, add a comment is one of the action. There is another action called as set due date, another action called as change status. So now let me fire. Once I receive one, that indicates that the data is sent. So I can add a comment, set due date, change the status. Okay. And this is using the message card. We can also use adaptive cards. So let me show you one of the example how we can use adaptive cards. So here, as you can see, the type of the data is adaptive card. Here we are using one of the flight example which is present in this site. So you can check out adaptive cards. It is a like very big concept. You can just check out this, and there are multiple samples and you can design your own adaptive cards as per your need. Okay, so let me send the data. Currently I have not updated the data because it would be in this format only. The text would be in this format. So if I go to my teams, see now this is the adaptive card which we are seeing. Okay. So now let us move to the third example, which is very important and very helpful. We can use this webhook in our SPFX project as well. So how we can use it? Let me open a site collection. So what we have done is, for this demo, we have created a very simple web part. This web part does is we can enter some message over here and we can send the message. And we need to specify which callback URL it is. So I have set it up in the configuration panel, so we can edit it and paste it over here. Republish it. So as you can see, we got the message from SPFX web part. So let me quickly show you the code, because there is one very important thing to note here is, so as you can see, the URL which we are using it is course anywhere and then the URL, the actual URL which we are using. So the webhook which we got, so if you see the URL which we got, it is outlook.office.com. So this is in a particular domain and my site is in another domain. So we cannot have a cross domain thing from the front end. Okay, we'll get a course issue and that is handled by browser itself. So we are using a course proxy. We can use any other course proxy as well. So there are multiple course proxy, but we are using course anywhere for this sample. So any doubts till now? We'll take the doubts later. But this is clear, right? Everyone is clear with how we can use incoming webhook. We are using 3 different ways. We can send it using the terminal. So, or we can send it using PowerShell. The second would be the Postman, or we can use any other server-side language like C# code, Node.js, and send the data. We can even use it in the SPFX project with Course Anywhere. Okay. So moving ahead. So before going to the outgoing webhook, let us first have a look at one of the handy utility which we will be using. We'll be using a utility called as nrock. It is platform agnostic. We can use it in any of the platforms. And it is used to expose our local hosted application into internet. To understand it, let us examine the diagram. As stated in the diagram, what we are doing is, when we host an application in the local host, we need to run the nrock executable. So it, for Windows it is exe, for Mac it is pkg file. Once we start this executable, what it does is it checks with nrock.com whether any domain is available or not. Once the domain is available, it is assigned to our local host app with the port number that we are using. And once we get that URL, we can open it from anywhere in the internet. So previously this provision was not available, and so what happened was, like, if we have any application which is hosted in the local app, no one can use it outside our server itself. So to understand this better, let us start a demo. So what I've done is I have simply written an app.js file. What it does is it uses HTTP, so it creates a server and it sends demo for nrock. So let me fire this up. We'll use node app.js to fire it up. Now let us check whether we are able to see this in our local host. So let me open my browser and let me check localhost 8080. And let me. So as we can see, we are getting demo for nrock. Now, if I want to expose this to internet, how I can do it? I can just write a command. So I'll open up a new window. It is nrock http, then the port number. So for current execution, we have port number 8080. So once I press enter, I'll get a URL. See, I got a URL. This URL is internet facing. So to test this, let me fire up my mobile phone and let me connect it using the mirror, and let me show you whether it is available in the internet or not. HTTPS call. Please bear with me because this is very hard to type. Is there anything? One. Okay. So as you can see, we're able to see our demo for nrock. So this is how we can expose our localhost application. We can expose any of our localhost application to the internet. So let me stop this, and now let us move forward. So now the last topic is what is outgoing webhook. As the name suggests, it is outgoing, indicating that the data is sent out of the Microsoft Teams. The question is, when will the data be sent? What would be the trigger point? The trigger here would be @mention. So whenever a user wants to trigger the webhook, they can just use @name of the webhook with some message, and then the rest is taken care by Microsoft itself. The teams would take care of it and it would send the data. So to understand it, let us go to the demo, how we can use the outgoing webhook. So let me. So for the outgoing webhook, let me show you the code before starting it. So in the outgoing webhook, we are doing the similar structure, but we are using some different library called as crypto, but we'll get back to it later. But the main thing over here is what we are doing is we are using the HTTP. We are creating a server at port 8080, and the other thing will come after the demo. I'll discuss it. So let me fire this app. Once this is up and running, let us test whether it is working in our local host. Okay, it is working. Now we have the other terminal which is running and which is having the same port number 8080. So let me copy that URL. Okay, it's not running. Let me start again. We'll be using this URL. This is very important because Microsoft Teams needs to send the data and it should be internet facing. So we'll be using this URL and not the localhost one. So let me copy and test once whether it is available or not. Okay, we are able to connect. Now let us create an outgoing webhook. The very important thing here is outgoing webhook are so like it is not channel scoped as compared to incoming webhook. These are team scope. So I can create only one webhook for one team and we can use it for any other channel. So if I click on manage team, if I go to apps, there is a section called as create an outgoing webhook. So if I click on create an outgoing webhook, I can type the name. So this name would be used for @mention thing. So if I use demo, I need to provide the callback URI. I need to provide the description. And I can upload the image if it is required, and I can create it. So once I create it, I get a security token. So this is very important. We need to copy this. We'll understand the code, how it is after the demo. We need to paste it over here. Save the file. And we need to run our application again so that the changes are affected. Now we can go back to our Teams, close this. And now in any of the channel, if I just type @demo and I type any message, test message for demo. Now what our application will do is it will send this message again if it is correct. If it is not correct, or if it is having some wrong data, like it is not having the correct security key, the token which we used, then it would send the wrong message. Okay, we need to take care that @mention is not there. So this should be removed. And see, we got the message demo testing. And let me show you another way that whenever I have a wrong passcode, for example, let me change the passcode with some other value. So this is the wrong value. And now let me fire it up again. And now if I use the @mention, it should send me the wrong data, but by some case this should stop. Okay, but let us understand the code. So what we are doing over here is we are using the shared secret which we obtained from the Microsoft Teams. We are converting it into the base 64, and we get an authentication. So the authorization in the header itself. So whenever a message is sent from Microsoft Teams, for example, this is sent from Teams. This has in the header, it has an authorization code. So we take this code, and from the message buffer, from the payload itself, so this is the message buffer demo testing. From this payload, we can find our authorization code. So what we'll do is we'll decode it using the SHA-256. So this is the decoding digest, and we'll use base 64 to decode it. So once we get this, if both the things are equal, then we'll display it as the message is successful, and if not, we'll say it as an error. Here we can, to make this intelligent, we can use any of the Azure Cognitive Service as well. So this way we can create it as a bot. So if you see any of the bot which is available in Microsoft Teams, what it has is if it has an @mention thing, and you can send the data to the bot. So this is how you can create a bot using outgoing webhook, and you're not using the actual bot framework. So this is the end of the session. So if anyone has any doubt, we can take it now.
So Kunj, is it just? I understand that incoming webhook, I put in that message and it's got